belittled Earth's warriors and watched their legions vanquish in awe. Imagine this, a single transmission echoing across every human world, delivered in a voice dripping with ancient arrogance. The Zorathians had spoken. They had demanded tribute. They had mocked our warriors as fragile toys in a galaxy of giants. But the galaxy was about to learn a terrible, beautiful truth. Deep in the heart of the Zorathian Dominion, on the crystalline world of Zorath Prime, Lord Vexar gazed out from his towering citadel. The structure floated above the planet like a blade suspended in the void, its silver spires catching the light of twin moons. Vexar was tall even among his kind, 7 feet of lean muscle wrapped in iridescent scales that shifted from midnight blue to molten gold depending on his mood. Today they gleamed cold silver, amusement. His council chamber was a vast dome of transparent alloy, stars burning coldly beyond the glass. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing the latest scout reports from the Sol sector. Tiny human vessels dotted the map like insects buzzing around a sleeping predator. Primitives, Vexar said, the word curling from his mandibles like smoke. They still use chemical rockets. Their soldiers wear cloth and metal plates. They bleed red. They tire after mere hours. And yet they dare call themselves warriors. Advisor Krell, older and scarred from campaigns long before humans discovered fire, clicked his mandibles in agreement. Our simulations ran 1,000 times. In every scenario, their resistance collapses within days. Their morale fractures, their bodies fail. We lose nothing but ammunition. The council laughed, a low, resonant sound that vibrated through the chamber like distant thunder. Vexar raised a clawed hand. Then let us educate them. Send the Vanguard fleet. Demand their unconditional surrender. If they refuse, demonstrate the cost of defiance. Make an example of one of their outer colonies. Let the rest watch. The transmission went out that very cycle. On Earth, the message arrived without warning. Every screen, from Times Square billboards to rural farmhouse televisions, flashed with the image of Lord Vexar's face. His multifaceted eyes glowed like embers. His voice was calm, almost paternal. People of Terra, the Zorathian Dominion welcomes you to the galaxy. Submit your resources, disarm your fleets, send your tribute ships to our border worlds. In return, you will live as protected vassals. Resist, and your so-called warriors will be erased. Choose wisely. Silence fell across the planet for exactly 7 seconds. Then the outrage began. In the underground command bunker beneath Colorado, General Elena Reyes stood before a wall of screens showing the alien ultimatum. Her uniform was crisp, but her eyes were tired. Decades of service had etched lines around them. She turned to her staff. They think we'll kneel because we're new, because our tech is younger, because we still feel fear. A young colonel stepped forward. Ma'am, their fleet outguns us 20-1 in raw firepower. Their shields shrug off our best railguns. Simulations, screw the simulations. Reyes cut in. Simulations don't account for human stubbornness. Rally every fleet we have, call in the reserves. Tell the colonies to dig in, and someone get me Captain Hale on the line. Across the solar system, humanity mobilized. Captain Marcus Hale stood on the bridge of the USS Endurance, a heavy cruiser that looked more like a brick with engines than a warship. His left arm was prosthetic, a memento from a pirate raid years earlier. He stared at the incoming Zorathian scout ships on the tactical display. Open a channel, he said quietly. The comms officer hesitated. Sir, they're broadcasting taunts already, calling us softskins and dirt dwellers. Hale smiled thinly. Good, let them talk. It'll make the silence louder when we hit back. The first clash happened near Jupiter's orbit. Zorathian lances, brilliant spears of coherent plasma, sliced through human escort fighters like paper. Shields flared and died. Debris spun outward in perfect silence. On the Zorathian flagship, Captain Thaler laughed. See, they break so easily. But then something strange happened. A squadron of human fighters, small, ugly, heavily armored, didn't run. They dove straight into the debris field using tumbling wreckage as cover. Lieutenant Arya Voss, callsign Viper 1, led them. Her voice crackled over open channels. Endurance, this is Viper 1. We're going to slingshot around Ganymede. Give us 30 seconds. Hale nodded to his gunnery officer. Hold fire until they're in position. The Zorathians, confident, pursued. That was their mistake. The human fighters whipped around the moon at breakneck speed, gravity hurling them forward like stones from a catapult. They emerged on the enemy's flank, railguns roaring. Slugs the size of cars slammed into the lead cruiser's shield at relativistic velocity. The shield buckled, secondary explosions rippled along the hull. Thaler's laughter died. How? He hissed. Their weapons are primitive, but primitive weapons, when used with ruthless ingenuity, still kill. Across the front lines, similar stories unfolded. On Mars, Sergeant Thomas Ruiz and his platoon held a canyon pass against an entire Zorathian legion. The aliens advanced in perfect formation, plasma rifles sweeping in disciplined arcs. Ruiz's people were outnumbered 5-1, low on ammo, suits leaking air. Ruiz keyed his external speaker. You think we're weak because we bleed? Come closer and find out. When the aliens charged, humans triggered buried charges. Old mining explosives repurposed into shaped directional blasts. Rock walls collapsed, burying the front ranks. Then the countercharge came. Humans in battered exosuits, bayonets fixed, roaring defiance. Ruiz tackled a 7-foot Zorathian to the ground, driving a combat knife through a joint in the armor. This is for underestimating us, he growled. Dr. Lena Carr, the field medic, worked under fire. She dragged a wounded Marine behind cover, hands slick with blood. You're not dying today, she told him. Not while I'm breathing. Even when captured, humans showed something the Zorathians had never seen: mercy. The squad took prisoners after a brutal firefight. Instead of executing them, the humans bandaged wounds, offered water. One young soldier looked at a trembling Zorathian captive and said simply, "We don't kill for sport. We kill when we have to, there's a difference." Word of these acts spread through Zorathian ranks like poison. Advisor Krell watched the feeds in growing dismay. They adapt faster than our models predict. They sacrifice willingly. They uncare for their wounded, even for ours. Lord Vexar slammed a fist on his throne. Enough! Deploy the full armada! I will lead the final assault myself. The climax came at Earth. The Zorathian fleet, hundreds of warships, formed a crescent that blotted out the stars. At its center floated the Eclipse, Vexar's personal dreadnought, a mountain of silver and black longer than Manhattan. Humanity's defenders formed a desperate, ragged sphere around the blue planet. Every ship that could fly was there. Freighters with bolted-on guns, science vessels turned missile platforms, even civilian yachts packed with volunteers. Admiral Zhao Chen aboard the Terra Nova addressed the fleet one last time. They came to belittle us, to prove we're nothing. But look at what we've built in a handful of generations. We reached the stars not because we were the strongest, but because we refused to stay down. Today we remind them why. The battle began at dawn over the Pacific. Zorathian beams carved glowing scars across the sky. Human ships vanished in fireballs. But for every loss, humanity answered with ferocity. Kamikaze runs overloaded reactors detonating inside enemy hulls. Engineers on crippled ships rerouting every ounce of power to one last shot. On the ground, anti-orbital batteries, hastily built from salvaged reactors and rail accelerators, fired upward in defiance. Inside the Eclipse, Vexar watched the tide turn. A human battle group used Luna's gravity to swing around and strike the flank. Railgun barrages punched through shields that had never before failed. Chain reactions bloomed like flowers of orange and white. Impossible, Vexar whispered. Krell's voice trembled. They fight as though defeat is not an option. They adapt in real time. They inspire each other. A feed showed Sergeant Ruiz's platoon, now down to 6, holding a breach on a boarded Zorathian cruiser. They fought back to back, singing an old Earth battle hymn, voices raw but unbroken. Vexar felt something he had never known: awe. These were not primitives. These were beings who turned every disadvantage into a weapon, who laughed in the face of death, who protected the weak even when it cost them everything. His legions, once invincible, were vanishing, not because humanity had better technology, but because humanity refused to yield. The Eclipse shuddered, shields collapsed. Alarms screamed. Vexar rose slowly. "Cease fire," he ordered, voice hollow. "All ships, stand down, transmit surrender." Silence swallowed the battlefield. Human vessels held position, guns still hot. General Reyes appeared on the view screen, calm and unyielding. "We accept your surrender," she said. "No more lives need end today. But remember this, we did not ask for this war." "You did." In the aftermath, the galaxy changed. Zorathian prisoners were treated with dignity. Returning ships carried stories, not of defeat, but of something greater. Advisor Krell addressed the humbled council. "We thought strength was in weapons and numbers. We were wrong. Strength is in refusing to break, in fighting for something larger than yourself. Humans taught us that. On a distant exile world, Lord Vexar sat alone under alien stars. He thought of the human medic who had bandaged his wounded without hesitation. Of the pilot who had died smiling, knowing his sacrifice bought time for others. Of the planet that refused to kneel. "They vanquished our legions," he murmured. "Not with superior force, but with superior spirit." And for the first time, the galaxy understood what it truly meant to be human.